on the caller ID, I'm on the phone with my girlfriend Whitney, and it says Disney, like executive offices, Disney Travel, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Bob. Hello, hi everybody. Welcome to Grace Through Pain, a Journey to Hope. We are back. It is just coming fresh off of the 4th of July holiday, and I'm feeling really, really good in spite of what the topic is today. I'm actually in really good spirits. I have a lot of spoons. I don't know. I'm just feeling just really good energy. I just feel like some good things are going to happen this week. And so I am claiming that for myself. I'm claiming it for you all as well. Um, but okay, let's get into it. So this has been something I'm kind of put on my like journalist hat a little bit because I have been gathering and collecting information and wanted to be able to have it all before actually having the episode to show you this entire journey and where we're at now with it rather than having to do. I still think there'll be a follow-up. I think there'll be a part 2 or like I said, a follow-up to this, but there's enough now that I feel like we can kind of cover a lot and hopefully get some eyes and ears on it. First, let's just shout out for those that are watching. I am in Chicago right now at my dad's house, and the renovation is done. Done. We are done with the inside of the house. I mean, you say done, but there's always like, oh, there's this. They call it a punch list. I still have my punch list, but that's something that maybe in the winter when contractors aren't as busy, we'll do that. Just kind of your little, kind of honeydew list of things to make it just perfect. But we are done. There's not going to be any more dust. There's not going to be any more demo. It's over. Behind me, if you guys can see, is this amazing photo of my dad at daycare with his best friend Buzzy. And then on the other side is my grandma and grandpa. So I just love it because all of our memories are framed here now. And, you walk into the house and it's just like this just treasure trove of archives and memories of just our family legacy. And they're now up in this beautiful home. So I am so grateful and so glad it's done. Sometime next year when I have the strength and the funds, we will work on the exterior, but inside is done. Okay, I got off track. We are talking about Disney. So, I mean, you all know, how much I love Disney. I am a Disney adult in all ways. I have all of the quirks. I'm insane. I'm extra. It's crazy, and I love it. It is the place that I go for peace, for joy. It's my happy place, and a big part of why it is my happy place is because of how Disney handled their accommodations for folks that were disabled. It was really just so impressive. They were the first and for a long time the only amusement park that really made you comfortable. You didn't have to explain yourself. You just had to say that you needed an accommodation. And there was this amazing system called the Disability Access Service. It's called DAS. And you would have it. You could book rides on your app for you and your family. And instead of waiting in line, let's say for the 2-hour or 90-minute wait time, you could rest, you could enjoy something that wasn't a ride, you could sit, you could eat, and then you would return to the line after that 90 minutes, and you go through what's called the lightning lane, where you maybe typically are in line for 10 minutes. You kind of walk right onto the ride. And so it's amazing because for someone like myself and a lot of people with MS, heat is a big no-no. So being in Florida at any time of year and standing in a 90-minute line in the sun is going to be a problem. It's going to be nausea, it's going to be a flare up, it's going to be pain, it's going to be a lot. It's not pretty for anybody, for the person living with MS, for the strangers, the guests that are just in line. It's just a bad experience. The cast members who don't know how to handle a flare up, it's just bad for everyone included. And so Disney did this great thing with DAS where you had that accommodation and didn't have to put your body through that. They decided, though, earlier this spring, it was late May, that DAS was changing. It was going back to, I guess, what was the original intent, which was to support folks that were dealing with autism or other neurodivergent issues similar to autism, because keep in mind, MS is a neurodivergent disorder. So it's interesting how they've chosen to do things. But they were saying that, from now on, you weren't going into the park and just getting it added to your Disney app. You had to do a Zoom interview with a cast member. And if that cast member couldn't help you, then they were going to tap in a professional, a medical professional, to interview you some more and just find out what your needs were. And so there was just a lot of anxiety about it because people were hearing that they were being denied. And it's really unfortunate. And, I've heard folks with Parkinson's were denied, paraplegics were denied, people with muscular dystrophy denied. It wasn't making a lot of sense. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. But maybe they were just like doing it wrong. Maybe they weren't really explaining what they needed. And so I, was prepared, and I was like, let me just log in for my interview. And I'm going to play it for you all. I recorded maybe the last 10 minutes of the conversation with this cast member. He was so inappropriate and so rude and so unkind, no empathy, essentially told me that, I just wasn't disabled enough to qualify for the DAS. When I was told about the new accommodations, which include a return to queue, which basically means that if you feel like you're starting to get sick, you should ask a cast member if you can leave the line and what the process is for you to kind of come back. And so there's so many holes in that. I won't go into all of them, but firstly, it was, sometimes you can't prepare for when you're going to have a flare up. It comes unexpectedly at times. And so I know that being in the heat, I'm going to have a flare up. That's something that is guaranteed to happen. When exactly it's going to happen, I don't know. So when am I asking for this return to queue? And where are the cast members? Are these cast members now being stationed throughout the line to make sure that you can reach them? For those of you that have been to Disney, these lines, they go round and round and up and around. And so it's just like, how are you exiting the queue? How are you finding this cast member? How is that actually something that we can execute in terms of an accommodation? And so it just, I felt so small because I think that so much of our day to day is trying to have people believe us that we are sick, trying to have, fighting to be believed. We're minimized. We're told that it's not that bad. We're told that we're making it up. We aren't believed so often, and so to sit and have to explain why you're sick and why you need help and to be met with such coldness, especially tied to what is a place that brings you so much joy, it's really hard to take in. And it just left me feeling so disappointed and bereft. And so I'm going to play that interview for you all now so that you can hear it.
Correct.
Had
Correct.
gas.
Correct.
Interesting.
Because
Okay.
once it is expired, no record at all.
Okay. Because I think my concern is just that the physical disabilities are just not being accommodated in the way that I always believed that Disney, I felt like Disney has always really uplifted and supported people with disabilities. And so this just feels, it does feel like a little bit of a slight that physical disabilities are not being acknowledged in the same level, in the same way that maybe neurodivergent disabilities are.
So totally understand with that. So with that, you're welcome to give your feedback, right? And then say, hey, I wish maybe this attraction could do it better, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you're still it is, so what you're referring to is that you wish you could still just go to the lining lane, or what accommodation would you think could be given?
To me, so here's what's going to wind up happening. I can only speak for myself, right? But an example of when you exclude someone with a physical disability, I'm going to go, I can already tell you what happened. I'll go get in line at Ratatouille, right? Within 15 minutes, I'm going to have a flare because it's just too hot. I have the things to, bring myself back down. It's not like I'll need an ambulance. You know what I mean? I come with the things that I need, but I'm going to have a flare. It's going to dampen my experience, at Disney. A cast member is going to come. They're going to see, first of all, there's children around. They're going to be terrified because this person looks like they are, not breathing. And, so it's a bad experience for everyone around. A cast member is going to come. Then they'll be like, oh, okay, let me allow you now to go through lightning lane, and get you into the air conditioning or whatever the case is.
That's not what I was referring to. That's technically not how return to queue would be.
I know. I'm just saying what's going to happen is we're going to be seeing these.
The whole point of return to queue is so you exit before
that happens. But you don't have a heads up, is what I'm saying. With disabilities, there's there is not time.
I totally understand. So
that's why I told you.
That's why I told you. That's what I said. You are welcome to plan your day, right? Like I'm not telling you have to wait there like 5-10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's up to you, right? You could wait there for 5 minutes and then exit, and then if you think that's something you can, you're welcome to come back. While we're told to say it's to try to wait, but you're welcome to exit however you would like to, right?
Well, right? No, but Emerson, hold on, Emerson. But how do I actually get to do the ride? If I'm going to have a flare, how would I ever be able to do the line? You know what I mean? Like, I can exit, but when I come back, it's still 100 degrees outside.
So somebody has to wait in the line for you, right? To do that, and then you will wait until
with one other person. So that person has to leave with me. So
okay. Well, the only reason I was saying that is because you did. I don't know if it was me, but you did give me other names.
Yes, I gave you names of all
Correct.
Of the people that I possibly would be in the park with.
So in one of the days, right, that there's a lot of people, you can try, right, and somebody can wait in the line, right?
But do you hear what you're saying? Days. There's all these different. There's like a different thing versus like a one system. It's like, okay, well, if you have a lot of people this day, but on a day that you don't have a lot of people, well, then it's this. I mean, it's just like. There's no.
That's as much as we would like to do it how it was before, right? Mm-hmm. Right. It's something that unfortunately that's.
So
what
can you answer the question with, if I am traveling with one person, and we have to leave the line to come back in line to then leave the line to come back in line? How would we ever get through the line? How does that happen with one person?
That's what I refer to you to talk to the cast member and see how they assist you with the return to queue.
Okay, so again, my whole point, and maybe you're not the person, and it could be another guest relations, but
it's not guest
if
relations.
you hear,
It's the specific cast member.
No, I'm talking about
attraction.
I'm talking about this rollout that you're doing. Is a guest relations, whoever, what department is rolling this out?
Guest relations doesn't answer these questions. Only we do.
Okay, so that is you. Thank you. I didn't want to waste your time if it wasn't you. That's what I was asking. My whole point is this experience that that has been mapped out does not.
Are you talking about return to queue?
Return to queue.
We have many accommodations, so you're welcome to use any of those how you would like to, right? So like for example, I told you like you could do the like if you're going to Big Tanamao Railroad, right? You wouldn't have to use the return to queue, right? You could go to the specific wheelchair
to
line,
the exit,
right?
yeah.
So they can assist you, right? So there's all the accommodations that you are welcome to use with that. You're welcome to try to do rider switch if you would like to, right? You can ask the attraction, hey, if for some reason return to queue, right? The way you're telling me to do it, might not work for me, right? Can you do rider switch? And you're welcome to talk to them. Now, of course, there's also, of course, Genie, which is not a paid service. Genie tells you how much the wait times are for the lines, and it will tell you, hey, maybe at around 7 p.m. this wait time might be less, right? Now, of course, you're welcome to use Genie Plus if you would like to. I'm not telling you have to, right? I'm just giving you all the different parts that we have to. So you're welcome to do that also too. So there's many accommodations that we do have in place for that.
And can you tell me why the physical disability is no longer qualifying for DAS? What is the reasoning for that?
So are you saying why the qualifications changed? That's something
No, my specific, you had said like, I think I have to talk to someone else. You know what I mean?
It's stated on the website what qualifies for it, right? But based on the accommodations, because we have the other accommodations, like return to queue, rider switch, and all of that, right? You can based on right? There could be different situations, right? However different your party is.
Okay.
There's a way they can assist you, so you can still go through the whole line in some way by using return to queue, rider switch, even the wheelchair accommodation, right? Depending on the ride you go to. At the end of the day, it's up to you how you would like to do those accommodations.
And if I feel as if though these accommodations are not working, that is when I call back here, or I go to guest relations.
You will not go to guest relations.
Okay.
Guest relations just gives you the feed. I'm just telling you to go to guest relations to get the feedback about the attractions. If you feel like one attraction, like feedback could be, efficiently. Like I like how this attraction did.
I think I'm leaning towards it's probably going to be negative feedback. Being honest, like
I
this
totally understand, right?
Really...
It could be either one you would like to, right? Either one you would like to, right? You're welcome to give that feedback. So they some attractions could do better, right? You're welcome to do that. But you're welcome to come back if you would like to. You feel like that. But
and would it be something like where would you bring like your neurologist? Like would for instance, would having my neurologist join the Zoom?
So that's why I reach out to a health practitioner and they ask you those questions, right? So unless you have any other needs, right? Or we miss something that you didn't say, right? We're welcome to hear it, but just be aware of that usually people do come back if they have like something that we might have missed, or something else that would qualify for it.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding, from now on when I go into the park and I go to scan my magic band at a ride, there is nothing that pulls up that lets them know that I'm disabled. I have to have a conversation.
There was nothing that's what I'm telling you. There was nothing that would pull them up. That you were disabled, the DAS pass, right? Just allowed you to give the accommodation so you go to the lining lane. But it didn't tell the people, hey, this is it's not like something that tells you, hey, you specifically are disabled. That's not what the DAS pass was for, right? The DAS pass was to give you the accommodations because we didn't have the return to queue and so on, right? Or not all the accommodations were used, right? That's what it was for, right?
Okay.
But yes, correct. I just want to make sure that before there was nothing that say you had, because technically that's against the HIPAA rules, because we don't ask for a diagnosis, we don't ask for disability, right?
Okay.
So
Okay.
I just want to make sure that that's
Thank you
so
for
we never
clarifying
had
that.
that.
Okay.
Yes.
And then and there was a change I thought I read, and I wanted if you could clarify for me of how many people can be in your party. Because
For the past, correct.
Oh, that's just for the past. So when I do
Correct.
return to queue, it's just I'm here with 2 people and that's fine, or I'm here with 4 people and it's up to the cast
Correct.
member.
But usually if you have a large party, right? Let's say you have a large party, they ask you to have the majority of your party in there. So let's say you have a party of 8, right? We don't want like 7
Right.
people to walk out and just have one person there. Have at least like half and half, or however you would like to do that.
Okay. Okay. All right. We'll see how it goes.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Hopefully this combination assists you. Have a magical day. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay. So that was wild, as you heard. I didn't leave it there with him. I mean, as you heard, he was cutting me off. He was telling me, it just was like he wasn't listening. When I was explaining to him how his solutions were not solutions. His body language, which you can't see because it's an audio recording, but he just was so dismissive and was shrugging, and it just was so hurtful. It didn't go well, and so I took it a step further and went to Instagram and posted this reel, which I'm going to play for you now. For those of you that are watching, you'll be able to see it. And it went viral. I think it's at, let's see here, it's at about 60,000 views, 800 comments. People were, for the most part, really supportive and were tagging Disney and, agreeing at how unacceptable this was. There, of course, were a few ableist comments and unkind comments, but for the most part, it was a really, really well received post. And I know that Disney Parks saw it. I mean, they have a social media team, they have a marketing team. They were tagged so many times. I know that they saw it. And I was hoping that would just kind of move the needle with all of the other TikToks and posts that I had seen. I wanted to make a stand as well. And then I just took it even further. I let the data from that post kind of gather and screenshotted that information, took my recording from my conversation with the cast member, and I emailed Disney Parks, I emailed guest services, I emailed the offices of Josh D'Amaro and Bob Iger, and I was not met with a good response. I have not heard back from the senior leadership offices, but I have heard back from kind of just like the general I don't know, what do you want to call it? Like the general response system, like just guest services at, and it was abysmal. I'm going to read to you what someone said. They really didn't. They really just said like thank you, but sorry, but no solution. So here we go. Dear Marti, and this was on June 23rd. Thank you for your email to the Walt Disney World Resort. We are sorry for the disappointments you mentioned in your email regarding the update to our accessibility services and your interactions with our cast members, both in the parks and through the DAS video chat. It is our goal to create magical memories and exceed expectations of our guests during each and every interaction that you have with us. Our cast members in any role are always expected to maintain our company's reputation for providing outstanding guest services, and we are truly sorry that this cast member did not reflect the high standards for which our cast members are known. While we appreciate the desire to have accountability for the DAS video chat, please be advised that recording of this video is prohibited, whether it is audio, video, or both. Please be assured that we've shared your comments with our leadership team, along with the appropriate management for DAS video chat leadership, as feedback such as yours is taken very seriously. We appreciate the time you took to share your feedback, as we truly believe by listening to our guests, we know that what we're doing right and what most importantly, what we should continue to improve upon. Once again, thank you for contacting us. We sincerely hope that you will have an opportunity to entertain you soon. Kindest regards, Wendy. Well, Wendy, you gave me a slap on the wrist for recording my video chat, even though you recorded it on your end. I know that it was recorded. So, and besides that, it was just to like, I'm sorry that happened to you. Have a good day. Didn't address anything. I followed back up and said, well, what are you doing about XYZ? And have not received a response. It is now July 8th. So and here's the thing. The solution to be able to enjoy the parks, specifically doing rides at the parks, would require purchasing what is going out pretty soon, but purchasing Fast Passes or Genie Plus, which can be upwards to $50 to $100 on a park day, to be able to access that kind of fast line. And it's just wild to me that someone that is disabled, in order to be able to enjoy the park as everyone else, has to pay a premium now in order to be able to. And it doesn't even cover all of that, because the DAS, when you would sign up for a time to return to a ride, when your return time came, you could come anytime after that. So if, let's say, you needed a break and you had to go back to your hotel, or you needed to get something to eat, or you just needed to rest and you weren't ready to do the line, you could go back 2 hours after your return time. With the paid lightning lanes or fast passes, you only have a window of an hour. So if you can't get yourself together to get there within that hour window, you lose your pass. So again, there's more obstacles and less that's being done to accommodate. And Disney prides itself on their accommodations. And so it is unacceptable. It is unacceptable to me that they've made this change. I understand that nothing illegal has happened. I think that, per whatever the ADA rules are, Disney's in line, that there isn't anything that they, haven't done, like the lines are wide enough to fit wheelchairs. There's, all of those things. They check all of those, on paper boxes. But what set Disney apart was how over and beyond they went to be inclusive and to make it the happiest place on earth for everyone. And so to completely backpedal in such an extreme way, as a result of what was happening, where I guess there were folks that were taking advantage of this DAS, because Disney was not asking for any proof, and because that's not legal for them to, they were just letting you in. People were taking advantage. People were saying that they were disabled and they weren't, so that they could get through the lightning lanes or through the fast passes. And so I get it that there was an abuse that was happening. That there needs to be maybe another step or another hoop that we have to go through. But to go this way, to make it where the only people that are being accommodated under the DAS system are people with severe autism, just does not make any sense to me. That you are not recognizing all of the other invisible and physical disabilities that someone might have. And so this episode is to document. I talk a lot about giving grace. That is not the case in this. I am holding Disney's feet to the fire. They have to change this, and they have to change it immediately. And I'm going to continue talking about this. I'm not going to stop reaching out. I will be following up again until I can speak to someone about how deplorable and how abysmal this whole process has been. It's not okay, and we fight and fight so much every day to be respected, to be seen, to be heard, to be treated not like second class citizens, and especially at a place where we are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars. It's unacceptable, Disney. It's unacceptable, Bob. It's unacceptable, Josh. I expect to change, and I expect to be heard from. I expect to be contacted, and I am going to be sending this episode around and around and around, and I will not stop. And so for any of you that are listening that are also taking up this charge, that are still talking about it, I've seen so many of your posts. I've followed you. I've commented. I'm here for you. We're in this together. And give yourself grace during all of this as you navigate and advocate. It's okay if you get tired. It's okay if you have to take a break. It's okay if you're going to let that sit for a minute, but please, please pick it back up. Do not let this go. I'm not letting it go. I'm here for you. I'm with you, and I'm fighting for us. Okay, guys. I will talk to you. I'll talk to you next week. Show yourself some grace. Okay, I'm back. This is crazy. So it's like, I'm not making this up, you guys. I sent my editor, Nat, the footage from this episode of the podcast. And the next morning, I get a phone call. And on the caller ID, I'm on the phone with my girlfriend, Whitney. And it says Disney, like executive offices, Disney Travel. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's Bob. I'm like, it's Bob Iger. I know it is. And so I'm like, I have to go. I'll call you back. And then I was like, actually, no, I'll merge you in. And so I wind up merging her in. And so she's on the phone with me, quiet. And it is this cast member, this amazing, lovely cast member named Anya from the, executive office, who was getting in touch with me about the email that I sent to Bob. I'm like, I'm shook. I'm like, okay, let's begin then. Let's talk about it. And so first of all, she apologized for my experience with my DAS interview and wanted to express that was not Disney's standards, and just wanted to first kind of acknowledge that, but that she was calling to take notes and get a little bit more information and just kind of hear from me in my own words, just a retelling of my experience, and also just my feedback on how the current situation at Disney parks is not accommodating to a vast majority of people that are living with disabilities. So we just kind of ran through the experience, that I had on my interview, as well as when I was actually in Animal Kingdom. And again, she took notes, she acknowledged my feelings, and so it got to the question of, okay, what now? And I know that's what we all just want to know. I mean, I think we all have collectively talked about our experience. We've shared it. There's TikToks, People Magazine. But what now? What next? How are we? What is the plan? What is something that's actionable? And I'm going to tell you guys, and I'm just glad to know that I heard it for myself. I certainly have heard it on these social media platforms from other influencers that have been being really loud about this. And unfortunately, there is nothing that is going to be done at this time. Right now, Disney is just listening and gathering feedback, and they want to hear from us. They're really just gathering information. Some of my friends that are in comms, my girlfriend Whitney is a publicist. She's like, this is kind of what these larger corporations do, is when something gets this much negative attention, they kind of take a beat and try to just kind of assess the damage and assess what's happened, and hear from people's mouths, that are living it, what's going on, and then they kind of take it back to the executives in this like larger room, and that's when I think things kind of go up on the wall to figure out what the next step is going to be. So she did assure me that they know that this is something that needs to be addressed, and that there is something that's going to be happening. She couldn't share and wouldn't share. Of course, I didn't expect her to, but they are taking this seriously. They are looking at what they're going to do, and there will be more information forthcoming. But as of today, there are no other accommodations that are being made. There's no complimentary Genie Plus, which of course is leaving shortly. There was nothing, uh, nothing to be done but to listen and know that you were heard. So I expressed to her that I was still very frustrated. I got emotional. I just was like, I just feel like I'm telling you all of this, and I'm feeling like you hear me and you agree with me. It wasn't the experience that I had on June 7th. She was much more warm and much more empathetic, but there still wasn't any resolution or accommodation that was made for me. I'm going to the parks next week, and she just told me that I could apply again through the Dash channel, but that for now, there just wasn't anything that was going to be done, but I was welcome to continue to follow up. She says, who you emailed. I said, I sure do, Anya. And I appreciated that she called me so quickly. I appreciate that it was less than 24 hours from when I messaged Bob that someone from his office contacted me. So I sent Bob another email thanking him for the fast response. I let him know that Anya and I got to chat, and I let him know that I was still disappointed that, we didn't come to any new solutions on the call. I did say, though, that it left me with a little bit of hope that Disney would soon return to the inclusive and uplifting for everyone, place that it's always been for me and for so many of us. A lot of you have asked me, are you still going to Disney? And as I mentioned, I'm going next week to the parks, and I haven't gone as much. I haven't been back since my experience in Animal Kingdom of having to explain my disability at every single line to cast members that some were understanding and some were not. That was a very emotionally draining day for me, having to explain my illness and why it makes me sick and why I need help, and um, to not be believed because I, again, present really well. Or to have a cast member share with me that they have a family member that also is disabled and they no longer have dads, and one cast member crying to me about her father, and then I'm crying, and it just was such an emotionally draining day, on top of physical, because I no longer had the dads. I just haven't been ready to return. I know now that unless it's in my budget to purchase Genie Plus, I will not be doing many rides when I go to the park. If I do, it will have to be, a ride that is completely indoors. so that at least I'm in the air conditioning. And then if I'm sitting in my scooter, I might have a better chance of not having a flare up. But it's not something that when I do go that I'll be doing mini rides. It'll just be kind of going and trying to find other ways to enjoy the park. And for some of you, I completely understand and respect if this change means you are no longer going to Disney parks. A lot of you have messaged me that you've canceled your Disney vacation. Um, you've canceled your annual pass. You will not be returning. And I completely respect and understand that. For me, Disney is very special to me, and um, there's so much joy that is tied to Disney for me, and I find joy in so many aspects of the Disney company, and so this is a not a good thing. It breaks my heart, but I am believing that they are going to change things and make this right and make this better. And in the meantime, I do still find joy, at Disney. I do still find peace. And so, for those of you that feel the same, it's looking different, how we're at Disney, not there as much, not spending as much. So, maybe that's a good thing. But I am still really hopeful. I'm rooting for Disney because I love it so much, and I am really, really happy and thankful that Bob Iger got back to me and replied to me and made sure that his team saw it. He answered me back after my second email and said that he was traveling, but he expected to be briefed next week. And it just meant a lot to have an email come from him about this. I said in my original email to him that I just felt that if he knew that this was going on in the parks, he would feel that it was just as unacceptable. And I feel like a lot of times these CEOs, these C-suite level people, a good friend of mine, Molly, had said that they are kind of kept away from a lot of this. They aren't. They're just kind of cushioned in this bubble a little bit, and they're not really aware of what's kind of happening down on the day-to-day level. And I'm just really believing that he wasn't aware that this had gotten to this level, and that it hadn't been that thought through. And because he is the president and CEO, it does fall on him. And I just really appreciate that he acknowledged that and is taking that ownership. So thank you so much, Bob. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will be following up, and we'll see what comes of this. I can't wait to hear y'all's thoughts. As always, we'll wrap up this episode for the second time. Show yourself grace this week. Talk to you soon.